Three, two, one. Hello, hello, and welcome along. I'd love to introduce my dear friend Hippa. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. It's nice to meet all of you here in the ether. Yeah.
And we know each other from for several years, and I'm also like an avid follower of your art and your fantastic gifts. And I also had the honor of you being on two of my training courses, the Higher Self Foundational and the Higher Self Intermediate training. Um, and it's just fantastic. I think we also picked up some common hobbies and passions and mysteries and things that we love on those journeys. And I'm sure we'll get to that, but I'd love to, in your own words, hear a bit about you. Tell us about your journey and how have you got to this stage now where you're stepping into more and more each day all of your fantastic psychic abilities?
Firstly, thank you for that introduction. Very lovely. And yeah, so to keep it short, I guess, hello, I'm Hibah. I am a witch and I'm an artist, and both of those things are very intertwined. So right now I do mostly I'll do channeled messages, but in the form of a painting that comes through. So that's kind of how I connect with my spirituality the most at this point is through my art and painting and through that creative process that puts me in a flow state, which to me is a very spiritual state. But how I got here was, where did it start? I think I started getting into spirituality just like right after high school. I'd always been into tarot cards, but nothing too serious, nothing too concrete until I started having like my own kind of spiritual awakening, like spiritual experiences that were very spontaneous. And that was around 2020. And since then, I've just been following that path, learning myself deeper, learning, unlearning, and reconnecting with passions of mine like art and seeing how that connects with my spirituality. So that's who I am, or the gist of it.
Wow. And I love that you call yourself a witch. It's like that you are a witch. It's not just you call yourself a witch, but it like it's really brave, right? I think it's really both validating and empowering for people to hear that. It took me a long time to use the word psychic.
Mm.
Maybe even a few lifetimes to get to this stage where I could just use that word. And so celebrating that and also your art, how can I describe it? It's like whenever I experience your art, it's just this flood of energy. This whole universe is like kind of dumped on me all at the same time. It's like, whoa, it's so powerful and often very bold, like visually very bold and striking. And the energy, it's like this universe then opens up. And it's almost like when I when I just within the first few seconds of seeing an art piece, it's like it comes to life. Like everything starts to move around, and I can see, the interactions between each of the beings or the places. And you it's also I feel like it's very brave because it's unusual. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And the depth of the energy, I've never felt anything like. How can you tell us a bit about your creative process? Like how do you bake so much into your art?
Wow. Firstly, thank you. That was such a beautiful and like colorful and connected description. I'm going to put that on my website, this
Yay,
description
do
of
it,
my
yeah.
art. It's lovely. Um, yeah, so my process with art, it's a mix of spontaneity because like sometimes downloads come when they come and they come when you're not looking often. Like because then you're in more of a receiving place. Because if you sit there and you're like, I need an idea, that's the opposite energy of receiving an idea. So you're going to kind of block yourself. So it's a mix of me sitting down, kind of dropping down into my body, connecting, asking my guides for support, but also more importantly than my guides, it's my own spirit, my own soul that I call forth. So that what's coming through is from me, and
Mhm.
from like the divine part within me. Which I feel like is if you're making art, I want to see what you have to say, right? And I feel like that's kind of important with that. You
Yeah.
can tell from other beings and stuff too, but for art, I really like to tune into that internal wisdom. It's just as divine as any other kind of wisdom, in my opinion. But unless you're channeling for somebody else, in which case that's like a different thing. But yeah, so my process is I'll get there, I'll meditate, I'll set up a sacred space just so that what comes through is coming through from me and isn't coming through from another, maybe entity or something.
Hmm.
You don't want messing with your art necessarily.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I usually see. So I would call myself a seer if we're gonna classify people in this way,
Yeah.
spiritually, but definitely a seer. I'll sit there, I'll close my eyes, and I'll have no attachment to any image coming through. If there's nothing coming through,
Yeah.
I might just start painting the black background of most of my paintings, and then I might start seeing stuff.
Hmm.
But you don't force the image. The image it's like you accept that there could be nothing and you could be sitting in this void forever. And then when you accept that, I feel like the magic starts to flow there.
Wow.
That's kind of how I do it. And I will also get like internal knowings of what the message is about. I sometimes will hear things as well. That one not as much, or like I'll see words in my head kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's how I do that. And I learned recently that I also need to close the space after painting.
Yeah.
I learned that from John. Because I didn't quite think that I'm leaving a portal open, but you
Hmm.
are. If you're kind of intertwining your spirituality with your art, if you open a door, you close it. So
Yeah.
and that's kind of my process. I'll also just, if I'm walking around, I will just like get an idea and I'll see it and I'll feel it very deeply. I like to say
Hmm.
psychic senses are very much a sense. It's very different from like just having, okay, sometimes ideas are divine, so it gets a bit muddy, but it's very different than just having a thought. It's like a sense. You will
Hmm.
usually feel it somewhere in your body, like your gut or your heart, or you might get a chill down your spine. It's very much like even a physical sense. Like you can
Hmm.
almost compare it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of my process.
Wow. I love that you receive art. I feel that with music. I didn't know this when I started in 2017, but it receiving and meditation, just like you start with a black canvas. It's like that's what I see in meditation. I see black until I start to open up and receive. And with intention. Like I love your intention that you bring in your soul. That's so cool. And yeah, I also think it's fantastic. Like play, practice safe art, safe creativity.
Yes.
Because receiving is an incredible gift, and we don't talk about it much in our Western culture. We don't talk about I'm going to go and receive a masterpiece. It's going to be incredible, and I'll come back tomorrow and show you what it was. It's we often describe things in more of a push, like a masculine way, and say, I will do, I will create, but it's often like a we in the receiving of it. So I think it's incredible what you do, and also that like the depth of the experiences that um I witness when I'm observing your art is super fascinating. It's like like if there's a face, you can feel its energy, you can feel its emotion. Like if you were to try and pick it out from lots of different faces and lots of different beings, or if it stepped physically into your reality, you would know like
Mm.
what that being feels like, and you feel
Wow.
its story, like its story's there. It's like you when you're receiving, it's not just a, hey, I've got a great idea. I'm going to do like a round circle, with two dots. It's like, but it's like, even if you did that, it would have encoded within it, like the soul DNA of the being that you're receiving to represent, to portray.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
that's
that's
even
an
the
incredible gift.
thank you so much. And I think that's the thing too. It's like when you're painting in that way, you are imprinting energy into the piece. The piece almost becomes living in a sense, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like it emits an energy. And I do want to say, connected to like making sure you're bringing, I guess ethical creativity, if we're going to call it that.
Yeah.
Um, that doesn't mean you can't paint dark things or talk about dark things or showcase any of that. All of that is part of our world, our many worlds that we live in. And shedding light on something dark is not is not bad either. So like you can be an
Yeah.
artist who delves into the shadow, and that doesn't make you an evil person or anything of that nature. I often, a lot of my work does connect to like collective pain and trauma and like expressing it, but also finding like the wisdom through it. So
Yeah.
mhm.
And I love that. Like I often see your art as like depictions from hell. Like they have these like really such strong emotions, and they feel often like when I'm going in client sessions to hell to help with soul fragments, like there's this self like infinite self torture aspect to a lot of that art, and that's what's you know almost I would some people unfortunately here on earth, like that's their life, like they are experiencing like a form of like eternal torture on in this 3D reality.
Mhm.
And I totally agree. Like if I never have a problem with creating dark songs, and I've done some
Mhm.
really dark ones, and I love like everything from metal to meditation music. And when
Mhm.
I'm growling like a dragon and singing like very guttural songs and very dark songs, for me, what I always feel is the most important is that it's transparent. I'm not pretending that it's like, the happiest song in the world. There's no deception to it. It is just, it's a fact. Like it is a low vibration song. And just
Mhm.
like I love creating and listening to, quite like solemn, sad, depressing songs. Like it's an emotion to experience and to celebrate, just like high vibrations. And yeah, I feel that with your art, it's like it can be, I don't know, it's almost like it's so transparent. It couldn't be anything else. Like from the colors to the energy to what you depict, the art is very clear what it is. Um, and I feel like it's a brave thing for you both to create, but also for the person to receive. It's like a reflection on them, right? You have to say, do I, how do I feel about this? Does it feel
Yeah.
like it resonates for me? Like
Mhm.
like anyone's art. And I love that challenge because we're so used to kind of just fitting in boxes and dimming our lights, and you could have easily turned up today and say I'm not a witch, or you could have said like that I'm not these things, or it's not dark art, or there's a lot of darkness in the art. It's like it's so
Mhm.
important um to show the transparency. And I really celebrate that bravery, both for what you create and those that are like, yes, that's exactly what I see, that's what I feel. um
Mhm.
and especially at this time, right, we've seen, I must admit, I pay no attention to politics, and yet there I was, my guides had me on my phone, like when I'm up 5 a.m. in the morning for a run, on my phone looking at the live votes. And I was
Mhm.
like, why it's like I'm trying to like care, like why do I care about politics? And the guides were showing me like this division. They were saying,
Yeah.
look, this is one country, this is one planet. Look at the division that's happening. um
Mhm.
and I thought that was really fascinating to see, because it helps us all reflect for a moment on the challenges that humanity faces, right? It's like
Mhm.
it's not a division of the darkness outside of us, it's this attempt to create the division of darkness within us and say, that's not me, I'm not like them. But actually
Mhm.
whoever them is still a reflection of the same darkness within us. And I love that like your art brings us towards that and says, hey, you have it too, and look, let's engage with it and see it and celebrate it, and maybe send a little bit of healing to that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like, especially even with the election, people have very real fears about like
Yeah.
certain people being in power. And just like, I don't necessarily talk too literally political because it's like, for me, I'm very much like, this is like, all of this is very corrupt. Like, all of these parties are very corrupt. I do lean more, I suppose, left idealism, not necessarily with any specific party. It's just like, yeah, we probably shouldn't be terrorizing our minority neighbors and friends and stuff.
Hmm.
But so I understand people have very real fears, and like it's just firstly I'll say neither of us are from America. So
That's right. Yeah.
so some disclaimer, anything happening there isn't directly affecting us in the same way. So obviously we're coming from this perspective.
Yeah.
But the division is interesting to see because it's not like again, it's not like people don't have reasons to be scared, or reasons to be even suspicious of each other or suspicious of like, what do you believe if you voted for this person? And that's like, I feel like the danger of it,
Yeah,
because what these people in power, these corrupt people in power, want is for us to be fighting each other so we can't take the fight to them, if that
yeah,
makes sense. So we can't
that's right.
unite and create a society that uplifts and supports everyone. So, and it works really well. It works really well pitting people against the people when we really should be trying to find a way, even if I don't like this person, how do we invent community where we can still take care of each other? Like, how do we, and I don't necessarily think people on, who are very into politics aren't trying to do that. I
Yeah,
see that a lot of them very much are very much into like building community, like taking
yeah,
care of your neighborhood and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely feel for everyone with all the big emotions like during the election and after, especially like
that,
trans people. Like I
yeah,
completely understand
yeah,
the fear.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, I'd send so much love to both the US and the neighbors. And there's a lot going, continues to be a lot going on around the world where division, you see, like it's one of the exercises we did in our foundational training, right? Where you create an energetic boundary
Hmm.
between yourself and the person next to you in the class. And what it feels like to be divided is very cold and lonely. And then when
Hmm.
we do the opposite and connect with our hearts, like I see a lot of galactic races doing, whenever I visit a galactic federation ship, at the start of every meeting, they connect their hearts together in unity. And they're different, they're from all around the universe, right?
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter about their size and shape or what color of their skin, or whether they're humanoid or not, or like a floating cloud or whatever they are, they just connect their hearts together and they're one in unity, but still unique individuals. And it's like you can hear almost like a planet of individuals, like you know that it's one planet, but you can see all the individuals. And I feel that on our journey to creating that unity is that looking within for all of us, because all these world events affect all of us because we're part of the same
Hmm.
collective. And just saying, okay, I see that darkness that's happening outside. It's a reflection of something that's happening within me. It's time for me
Hmm.
to look into that and see how can I help, because we will save this planet. We will do it, and we'll do it. It's an inside job, right, within our hearts.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's so important to the like connecting into what our own darkness is, because I feel like it has this air of um or this idea that it's selfish to look within and like try to heal that part, but
Hmm.
it truly does affect everyone else around you if you are healing yourself and like looking at your own biases and trying to, identify any shadows that you have. Like, this is good work. And imagine what the world would look like if we all had the ability, the privilege, whatever it may be, the support to do that work, right?
Yeah,
Because maybe then we wouldn't be fighting each other over very silly things that don't need to be fought over, like
yeah,
very, very even random things to be.
that's right. Yeah, and even some of those things that you can argue logically are huge, and they're fear born and they've gone on for many generations. That it takes an even greater leap of trust and love and forgiveness to say, this ends in this life. We bring world peace in this lifetime. And
Mhm.
yeah, I absolutely agree. It all happens within our hearts.
Mhm.
Because if you think of anything else, like what if you tried to make everyone happy in the world or everyone smile in the world? You can't tell them, you can't
Mhm.
have a vote for it, or you can't like run some campaign. But what you could do is try and like work with everyone to encourage them to face those things that are making them unhappy, to seek their
Mhm.
joy, and at some point they'll smile. And
Mhm.
at some point they'll each of us individually will get there, and yeah,
And
one day we will.
yeah, and like obviously you can't make somebody think the way you do, nor should you necessarily be trying to do it, or at least
Yeah,
not literally in that way. But if you work on yourself and then spread light in your community, wherever that is, that can reach people, then those people can make choices that will spread more of their own light and so on and so forth. So that to me, it's not nothing. It's not
yeah,
insignificant.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like a lot of people really benefit from that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Well, we have some ideas, right, about some adventures to do together
Mhm.
in this show. And one of so to give a bit of context, one of the things we did in the higher self intermediate training was we visited some what we'd call sacred sites or ancient sites. It's just a term for anything with interest and perhaps even a bit of mystery. And I remember the different class members chose, we all chose like different locations, like some were like near home, some, and we're all from around the world in different locations, and some were more famous places. And and there's a couple of places that we discussed just before we uh we came on today. Um and I was intrigued about first of all, like your what's your fascination, Hippa, with these locations? And we touched on mystery. Like,
Mhm.
what is it that you seek when you're looking to find out answers? Like, what are the things that appeal to you?
So I think ever since I was a kid, I was always so taken by any mysteries, especially around places. Like a lot of kids, for instance, are really into the Bermuda Triangle and like the weird disappearances that happen there. Some are less weird than others, but certain ones are still very weird to this day. Things like that. I'm just somebody who's really interested in mystery.
Mm.
And I love human history. I love well, I love people, so of course I love learning about the cultures of the people from the past. I like to see how it connects to now, what wisdom is there, even if it's just something that went wrong and how to not repeat it. Like, I think we lose so much in wisdom when we lose information about these ancient cultures that have existed for, a very long time.
Yeah,
For instance, the Indus Valley civilization, I'm really interested in. It might not be very like, what's the word? What happened to them might be very practical, but I'm still really interested to know that stuff just because I would like to know. And all of these sites, all of these, what's it called? These cultures, these communities have wisdom. And I can't imagine that it wouldn't be relevant or helpful to somebody now, is how I
yeah.
feel. I also really love Earth and I love connecting to her gatekeepers and speaking to them and seeing what they have to say because I don't know. And after you do something like that, you just feel so, it might depend on the gatekeeper, but like I feel so energized, but like peaceful. And it's just a really good experience. And yeah, I like finding wisdom where I can find it.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, I definitely share a fascination with mystery. I keep finding myself searching on YouTube for the word mystery as well, which I think is kind of it's like it's
I do
ironic.
the
I
same
don't know.
thing,
It's like
especially when I
just
was younger. I'd just be like, oh, it's really fun. I can just see you typing mystery and then sitting there being like,
yeah. Show me the mysteries. It's a mystery. So what I suggest we do is we create a safe space. Now,
Mhm.
you're used to me doing this in our training and meditations, and for those watching who also, I think it was 100 people signed up for my free meditations just this month. What I'm going to do is like a quicker silent version of that. Um, and then once and you can do yours as well, Hippo. And then what we'll do is we'll I think once we're in the safe space, then we could select the get you to select the site and
Okay,
we can go there and lightly divide and conquer. I feel like we'll
okay,
split
okay,
up different tasks between us.
okay. That sounds great.
Okay, so I'll just begin. And those that are watching, feel free to consent to joining into this safe space if you continue to watch this, and also just take 3 deep breaths. And I'm connecting my heart into the highest dimension of source above, and then my heart into the core of Mother Earth. And creating a golden bubble of protective light. And creating a bubble around all those that are watching this and around Hibah and I, and setting the intention that only energies and entities with our permission, our highest good love and compassion, can see as access or exist within this space or within us. Okay, and I'd like to set the intention today for us to connect in with a chosen sacred site to connect with the ground, the gatekeepers, the elementals, to be aware of any past, present, parallel, future timelines or events that are relevant, and to help understand what the story is of the people that's happened there, together with any other mysteries that would be helpful for us to understand or our audience. Okay. And so where would you like to choose, Hibah?
Mohenjo-daro. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong for anyone who might know the pronunciation of that. And it's, I think, one of the largest ruins or sites of the Indus Valley civilization. And it was most likely like a city center kind of thing, like a whole community. So there's different buildings and stuff. So I'd just like to ask the gatekeeper of that. I guess it's a city, or other gatekeepers, if there's more than one, to kind of come forward and present, not present, but like hopefully share some information with us about that. But in terms of dividing and
Fabulous.
conquering, do you want to have maybe I ask some questions and you ask others, or do we want to see what we receive separately?
Um, yeah, we can definitely divide. I just wanted to flash up on the screen the a photo to give some orientation because I won't edit this and come back and add stuff in.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just to give some orientation for those that are watching. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm it's funny, before we set up the safe space, I seem to have a strong opinion about which to go for, but I feel like, one of us could take a look at the land, and
Hmm.
then the other could find out more about the people,
Hmm.
and any galactic influences or any events past. I also have the sense that there's this like future aspect, which is really fascinating.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, which would you like to choose?
Let me tune in. I feel, oh, I love connecting in with the land, but I'm a very people person. So I think I'm being called to talk to and about the land
Okay.
right now, I think. But yeah, I'm unless you wanted to do the land, I'm okay doing both.
No, I'm happy doing both. And I should also say it can be helpful for us both to kind of like start at one end, and then it's fine to just keep going, right?
I
So we
was
can start with land and
I
go
was
into the
going to
people.
say I have the feeling that it might shift. Like I might be talking to them and they
Yeah,
choose. Like I'm feeling like I might get both.
yeah,
I can't control what they say, and
it makes
neither
sense.
can you, I imagine. But
Great.
yeah, all right. We can start it that way then. So do
Fabulous.
we wanna take a few minutes silently and then come back and like talk about it, or do we want to just because we're talking at the same time, it might be harder.
Yeah, I'm fine to keep talking at the same time. We can just take a minute and see what starts to come through, and just feel free to
I
share
have some
as
stuff
it
coming
comes.
through already. I think
Mhm.
I think we can do it together as well.
Yeah,
But
sure.
because like the first thing I saw was it was actually the people I saw first,
Yeah.
bustling around, like moving around, like it felt very busy. Like it was definitely like the heart of a community kind of thing, and it felt like that. It felt alive. And then I'm seeing nothing. Like I'm seeing nothing at all. And I was getting that like every society, every empire of whatever kind, whatever you want to call it, has a lifespan. Like many things on this planet, everything has like a lifespan, kind of thing,
Yeah.
like a natural one. which is kind of giving like everything kind of is meant to come to an end, but then rebirth is kind of
Yeah.
something that comes through.
I I too saw the busyness. I was
Mhm.
immediately drawn to I describe the being as female, quite tall, wearing white, like these long white strips of clothing. It was like almost like a hood, but just two strips down over the head and then over the body as well. She was incredibly gifted, and I haven't asked if she's human. I don't think she is, or at least a like a hybrid. She was showing this like incredibly strong crown chakra that was just pushing out this incredibly strong these almost like these rays of sunshine, like these golden lights coming from her crown chakra, and they were attached to all of the people.
So
And
everyone is kind of connecting on that kind of more psychic plane with each other, if that makes
well,
sense. Or-
she seemed to be, it was like she was orchestrating them,
Mm,
um, but not it it and it made more sense as you described it, which is that she was helping helping them continue to survive. And
mm,
they still had free will. Like it just there was just sense of like in that busyness, like there's
mm,
trading and there's people getting on with their lives, and they're just like it felt liberating. Like they felt liberated. They did not feel enslaved. But
mm,
almost like her crown check was creating a projection of these people that almost like if she's it's like if she stops, when she stops, they all stop. Like they can't continue. So it's a very
mm.
almost like a life support system for them. I'm just asking why, like, why is that? She's saying that they don't have a connection into Earth. They're not of Earth.
Okay.
They look like humans to me though. Um,
Mm.
and why have they lost? Why don't
See,
they have this connection?
when I'll let you
Or you
proceed.
can answer. It's fine. Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say when you said that first thing, I was seeing like somebody like touching the earth and like kind of moving it around in their hands, or and the earth looked like even in that photo, it's very dry or whatever. And I was wondering why they're touching the earth, and then you said they're not quite, as if they're not quite connected to it, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Mm.
yeah. They don't seem to have a like a root chakra connection into Earth,
Oh,
and
interesting.
it seemed to cause this. It's like they're almost like a clone. Like they've not they don't seem to feel like or be treated by Mother Gaia as children of Earth.
Oh,
Not not in like there's no kind of
not in like a mean way.
negativity in it. Yeah, not it's just like a fact. It's just like, well, you're not from here.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just asking where are they from? Where are the people from, and where's the priestess from? Okay, it's like a really long story. Um, but what like the short version is that their ancestors, something like 3 to 4 generations prior to that, were like completely human and they were grounded. But there's been a program of hybridization, and that so galactic beings have been interfering. And I saw them like they were like doing all kinds of experiments, like cloning people and trying to create civilizations with adjusted DNA. And then but these people seem like they've left, they're not under control, they seem free, and it's like they're trying to reconnect, they're trying to reconnect with the earth, but there's something about their DNA that is not yet compatible. My sense is that if they and this is what the priestess is trying to do, is trying to encourage them, because they all get to choose, but trying to encourage them to commune with
Mm,
Earth. And it's like bring back that ancestral memory and say, hey, you can come back here. It's safe. You can ground again. But without
mm,
grounding, it's like their lifespans are cut short.
mm. Well, that was a lot of like crown chakra energy to start with
Yeah.
as well. And that like unbalanced seems like
Hmm.
it doesn't spell good things for the future, but we'll see.
And I was asking, well, I asked a few beings, but I asked Gaia, so what, like, what happened here? Why weren't they able to connect? And she was saying that a lot of healing happened. Like they tried so hard with these people to reintegrate them with Earth. And
Mm-hmm.
I saw them, and I'd have to bring up the photo again to see it, but it was like they had these healing baths. And oh yeah, there are like there's like a some sort of big bath in the middle there, that big photo we showed initially. But they what I was showing was smaller ones, just not you can maybe fit one or two people in them. And they reminded me a lot of like we call them like galactic, like an alien like med bed, like this kind of thing, a bit like the ones we see in Star Trek or whatever, where you go into this healing technology, and there's a lot of work going on with the lower chakras. And Gaia was saying that she she wanted to recommune with them, but there's like this frequency incompatibility, and it seemed like they've made progress, but they did not get as far as connecting their root chakras. And I
Mm-hmm.
but I did see like there was some people were more successful than others, and some people were doing this with their hands. It's quite funny because I was grounding with my hands last night.
So
Um,
I'm wondering why it was so hard,
yeah,
like trying and trying, but like it didn't, at least didn't work for everybody. So I wonder, was there a
yeah,
reason or was it just how it
yeah. It's
is?
like yeah, their DNA had been manipulated. They can no longer connect. It seemed their hybridization. I didn't. Okay, the hybridization programs they were part of was like a real mix of DNA. It was an
Mm-hmm.
experiment to the objectives of many of those experiments of hybridizing and manipulating human DNA was to try and find out this kind of magic that humans have where they can hold very broad frequency ranges. And what kept happening is they'd bring in more and more galactic races. And one of those was the reptilian race. And it wasn't that they're any worse or better than any other race, but it seemed to be the DNA in particular with their tail, where, and this is the first time I've seen this, that the reptilians also have like a root chakra down the tail. It's like their tail can like sit on the ground. And what seemed to happen is that was like malformed in these people. So they had this like almost like a energetic birth defect with their root chakras. And if anything, they could connect with their draconian hybrid origins with that planet, but not Earth.
No, okay.
And it seems to be a I was just asking Gaia why not, and she's saying it's a density difference. Like there was a lower density. There were if they could connect to anything, it was lower than Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I know you said something about their like lifespans maybe being like cut short, but I feel like there's also something to be said about they're not quite connected to the land, so they're not necessarily quite connected to that. Because like a whole society, like just kind of all of a sudden it seems to have been a collapse, like the
Yeah.
Bronze Age collapse. So I'm wondering if those that, were there got up and left.
Yeah, I feel they did. I feel
Yeah,
they
that's
were
what I
like
thought.
it if to some I'm just feeling that in my heart. For some of them they were mourning the loss of leaving Earth because they had
Mm.
it's like just like when we ground, you can get closer and closer and closer and then you're grounded, you know. And some of them felt really quite connected to Earth. And so there was this feeling of that like they were being pulled away, they were being taken away. And and for others it made a lot of sense. That it felt good. It felt that they could go to another place and live longer. And the
So, yeah, go
no
ahead.
you no no you go ahead.
I was kind of thinking out loud, like wondering, where did they go then? Because if it was somewhere on Earth, like that wouldn't change their connection to Earth at all. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the purpose would be of moving if they were staying on the planet or if they were getting off it. But
And the very first thing I was shown is and I've seen it in the Galactic Federation ship Athena that I visit the most. It's not this ship, but the ship that they were taken on has the capability. So it is sentient and it has the capability of, um, it's like this feature of being able to hold the beings on board in a way that they feel like they're connected, that they're at home, they're on their home planet, and it's a technology. There's no like actual grounding other than a bit like in my camper van, you'll
Mhm.
ground the electricity into the kind of the chassis, into the metal frame of the vehicle. Like they did the same thing. Um that also, so it feels like, because it was a technology, they could say, okay, let's set the frequency. So and this happened automatically. It would be like, oh, their root chakras, to feel at home and have a long sustained life, the ship would lower its vibration of its hull
Mm.
to allow the connection with their roots, and it was much more sustainable. Maybe even for like quite long space travel, if that's what they were doing. But it does feel like they went somewhere. And the first
Mm.
answer I got was Lyra, and I was
Mm.
asking why Lyra? Why? Surely that's a bit of a shift for
Yeah, like
uh,
in terms of the like energetic, that doesn't seem,
that's
but
right. It what it seemed, but what I was shown is like there's this, and we do see it. I see it in my Lyran guide and in myself sometimes. Like there's this fierce rage like aspect of love that allowed this compatibility with these lower vibrations that there seem to be, and also their some of their hybridization with Lyrans as well. They would not have been welcome um on the on the reptilian draconian
mm.
home planet. Um, I'm just asking my Lyran guide, like, is I just want him to verify. He said yes, but there was only specific places on the planet they could live, and he showed there must be similar place like this on Earth, where almost like this like cave system where they were like in the side of a mountain in these almost like little
Mm.
pods, little caves, quite small, just for maybe one per family. And it had like a he's saying that as the wind blew across it, it had it's almost like it played like a very deep uh like a sound like this kind of
Oh.
and it would go across it, and they called it like the we would translate it as like the like the pipes of hell. Like it was these, it was a very guttural sound that would blow across there. So it was very different to the place they'd been at on Earth, but it was able to sustain them.
I also kind of a bit of a different note, but I'm thinking you know, hybrid beings being there, but I'm sure there was also like humans that were like more connected or more human, I should say, than others that were probably mixed in to
That's right. Yeah.
society for sure, right? Especially since we have lots of humans now, it would make sense. I'm feeling like they wouldn't have gone wherever the others went. They would
Yeah.
have just had to move. They probably were the ones most affected by direction of the river perhaps changing or and things of that nature and just having to get up and kind of leave.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that they would have had to kind of go separate ways then in that sense,
Yeah.
generally speaking, which is actually sad because they were a community together.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
yeah, so
And
like
it
literally
seems,
a division
yeah,
occurring.
that's right. Yeah,
Interesting.
there's a theme. And there's a couple things I was shown. One is that it was like an ascension where the beings that weren't able to commune with a higher vibration Earth had to stay on a planet that was lower vibration. And
Hmm.
we often think of, or I often think of Earth's ascension as being one planet kind of stretched across multiple dimensions, and that if you don't want to ascend, you can just stay in the lower vibration, and
Hmm.
then if you're higher, you can choose to keep rising up. And for these beings, they the Earth didn't have that frequency range, didn't have that capability at that time. And so to go lower than the lowest vibration of Earth, they had to go to a different planet.
Hmm.
Also, that the humans that stayed, it's like they Guy was saying that it's such a funny thing to say. She's saying they became human. And I said, "What do you mean by becoming human?" I thought they kind of were. And she said, "No, no, no, like you guys, like us, like so our, we all have some of this hybridization DNA in us." And so she's saying, yes, you're all mixed in that respect. But the longer you stay on Earth, it's almost like if you left us for eons, Earthling's DNA would continue to align with Gaia's. Like we would just continue to
Is
attune
probably
with hers.
which connects to why aliens are kind of told to get the hell off Earth,
That's right, yeah.
and let us kind of
Get on with
start to
it.
attune, yeah, to our own frequencies, kind of thing, and not other frequencies. Love other frequencies, but I think it's important to, especially if you don't have an identity. I think as a people, it's
Yeah,
very easy to be pulled physically, genetically, whatever, in directions that you don't have the same say as than a being who really wants you to do this thing and be an experiment. So interesting. But yeah.
I'm just being sure because I was asking, did they ever communicate? Did the beings that had left, were they able to communicate with those that they'd left behind us? And I was shown, yes, some of the children had developed like these, like at the beginning we saw that I saw this priestess with their crown chakra like really bright, and
Hmm.
that's what the children were doing. They're like, there's one on Lyra like staring out from their very grim tunnel, looking out to their night sky, and it wasn't so visible, like certainly not to the human eye, but they were connecting back to Earth, and it's like they're kind of flickering their light. And what they were doing is they were talking to the children back on Earth, and they were saying, like, we're alive, we're okay, we found a home. And there was that beautiful um like thin connection, but very powerful of unity across a very dark and difficult
Hmm.
distance.
Yeah.
Um,
It seems very like lonely too, especially
yeah,
with if people having to go separate, like a whole community having to be pulled into different directions as well
yeah,
about just even where to physically live. That's really hard and dense. Like these were people's like community members and stuff. So
yeah.
that
They're
is quite sad
across
actually.
families. That's right. Yeah,
Hmm.
and
So
and it does feel like this is a pattern all this for a reason. Like
yeah,
why did we go there? Why
I
were we being told this story? And
I
and
was
he,
I was gonna get into that though, like because like that it's interesting because that this type of division, it's very much like it seemed more of a physical necessity, right?
yeah,
Which is interesting. And if we think of division nowadays, I don't think it's that much different. Like it is, but it's like there is like a sense of there's people who will kill you for your different beliefs or being of a different type than they are, right? So it
mhm,
is like part of the division is like some people need to survive, and there's some people that they can't be safe with, which is a bit
yeah,
different than, but it's like that I don't know, there's like a similar thread there, I feel like, when it comes to that.
yeah. And I also, I don't know if you feel this or people
Hmm.
that are watching feel it as well, that as you raise a vibration, you feel higher and higher, happier and happier, more in your joy. If you're around people that aren't in that joyful state, it's like you're invisible. It's like you're not there, and they literally have to like bump into you physically or drive their car accidentally into yours that you suddenly notice each other, just like ghosts, right? Like we're like
Hmm.
ghosts to some extent to each other, especially from low vibration upwards, not so much
Hmm.
looking down. And I feel that was true for these people that they'd had to go their separate ways that and it made them almost invisible to each other. But there's this like hope where some people, and I have seen a lot of this in a lot of client sessions, is that some people are the bridge. They go back to check on people that are staying in lower vibrations on Earth. Those that don't
Hmm.
choose to ascend can choose to send anytime. And it's like the people come back and ask, that because they've asked for help. It's like, I do want to. I changed my mind. Like, I want to go up that way. And
Hmm.
so someone's coming back to work with them, a bit like, we work with our spirit guides, a very high
Hmm.
vibration being stepping into our reality. But there's it's more than just a remembrance.
Mhm.
It's communication. It's the ability to share advice and love and support people on their ascension journeys if they choose it, or if they don't, absolutely you can stay down there on Earth
Mhm.
and live out that life. And that's a it's a really powerful journey for those people.
Yeah.
And that was much bigger and broader than I expected.
Yeah,
um,
I was not strangely, I was not expecting alien stuff just because I'm like, there has to be a human society that's not involved with alien stuff.
that's right, I know, yeah. And I was thinking, how do I feel about alien DNA? I don't know. I
I was
guess
thinking too, I'm like, I wish I knew more about
yeah,
this DNA and stuff in general to have more of an understanding of what that means or how that could be true,
yeah.
but interesting. Like
I just
so
know that in the short summary is that for many thousands of years, and it continues to this day, if I'd had a friend that this would happen to, that the galactic races will try and manipulate our DNA in part to help them understand how they ascend, because Earth's
Mhm.
ascension is right at the center of the ascension of the universe, because Gaia can hold such a broad frequency range of us
Mhm.
very dark humans to very light humans and everything in between. And
Mhm.
in doing so, there's this unintended consequence which binds galactic races to us. So
Mhm.
it's like our timelines
Yeah,
interconnect.
where's the child support, guys? My
Yes.
rent.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and that it's like a time loop as well. So it's like you know, I was fascinated about those hints of
Mhm.
the future, and it feels like it's more Earth's future that we're seeing. Will they come back? Maybe they'll be able to come back to a lower. Some of them will come back to a lower vibration Earth when there's
Mhm.
more of a split. I feel like there's always going to be some
I think
overlap
there's going to be more of a split happening into the future. I
for
feel like that
Earth. Yeah,
makes sense. I
yeah,
feel like it's rearing up and we're in the phase where it's getting worse before better is how I feel.
yeah.
So it's going to be very intense. I know people have been saying that for a while, but I hope you all have
It
been noticing an
continues.
intensity increase because I
Yeah,
have. And I think most people on the planet, whatever frequency they are able to see this like intensity building. Even
yeah,
when it's important to look at places like the United States that have their fingers in so many other countries, right? What matters energetically, or what's happening energetically with that population, is we're all eyes are on it because it kind of affects everybody, right? Like just as anything in the world would, but
yeah.
you know,
That's
it's
right.
like it's like
All
the
interconnected.
empire.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so
unfortunately,
true.
fortunately, unfortunately, whatever. But it is interesting, and yeah, I'm wondering if there's any wisdom specifically to take from this, anything we need to take for right now. And I'm feeling something about like just in whatever ways you physically can, like allowing people to kind of make their choices and be
Yeah,
who they're going to be. Even if that's a lot lower than what you would hope for or expect. And that's not the same as like being complacent in um when things that are unethical are happening. It's not the same thing as that. It's just allowing like individuals who are not like the cause of like these systemic and energetic kind of
yeah,
traps of consciousness and things of that. I'm also seeing like it might be helpful for some to see some of these people as like victims of a mind trap as well.
hmm
People who are really like engulfed in the division to the point of like hatred and stuff.
hmm
Don't endanger yourself, obviously, but it is like there is energetic and personal benefit from still finding compassion for these beings. And I say somebody who like doesn't align with a lot of political stuff from a certain side, and but
yeah,
empathy heals you, and it
yeah.
also provides a solution for the future. But anything specifically, okay, yes, when it comes to the connection, like the division there, it's very much like it hurts, but like allowing people to go the ways that they're going to go for now, because everything is cyclical. It'll come back around to
Yeah.
where it's more harmonious, but letting people go the direction that they're going to go is
That's
kind of. just
That's right.
accepting that that's going to happen
Yeah.
is more
And
so. Hmm.
I I heard other people's free will is none of our business,
Yeah.
which and I just and I was shown a few different analogies, and one was you like messaging me or phoning me and saying, John, why did you write a sad song? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you asking me? Why you can't tell me what songs I write?
For the
And
record, I would never tell you not to write a
no, you
sad
wouldn't.
song.
And it's such a funny like notion that somehow we would have that degree of control over anyone where we would say,
Hmm.
you should feel this way, even though it might be the last song I write, and maybe it was like, it was rubbish. It would just be my choice, and I love
Hmm.
that respect to free will. And the
Hmm.
final message I saw was for those that feel lonely, because some of these people that choose to stay in lower vibration, fear and hate and division
Hmm.
are our loved ones. They're like people that are
Hmm.
close to us. They're friends, they're neighbors, they're colleagues. And no matter what energetically happens with the planets and what world events unfold, know that there is still the opportunity to be able to reconnect with them, even if you're not able to like physically go and see them. There'll be this opportunity to like connect a bit like we do in meditation, like to know that they're there, to know that they're alive and that they're
Hmm.
safe, or and to also know that just like the free will example, every soul has chosen this path. And it's one
Hmm.
of the hardest human things to accept. It's like, you mean your soul chose this? It's like, that's
Hmm.
horrible. Why did you choose that? And if you could talk to the soul, it would likely say something like, because I came here to grow. This is my growth lesson. Let me grow through this fear. Let me grow through this pain. I'm like, oh, it's tough, but it's the reality for many souls. Um,
Hmm. Absolutely.
and I think,
And like again, I definitely sympathize with like how that must feel.
yeah,
Um very much so. It's it is dense and it's important to sit with the density. Like sometimes we can try to override that, but you're allowed to feel very heartbroken about all of this as it's going on
yeah,
is another thing because it is sad. It is sad to see people pull away from each other
yeah,
um, and get manipulated into that reality.
hmm that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, um, I'll just close down our session that we created for going back to this beautiful location with this beautiful history. And I'd like to thank every soul that participated in today's session and our guides and our higher selves, Mother Gaia and Source, and just asking each of us to step outside of that session bubble, to close it down and return to Source or never return here again. And for everyone that's participated in this and has listened to this, to know that you have the opportunity to get rest, drink water, listen to this back and see what resonates with you, what doesn't, and allow that integration of both a very real and tangible experience for a group of many beings, as well as the reflections on our current situation on Earth, just to reflect on what feels right for you. There's no right or wrong, there's no individual truth in this. And I suspect if I asked one of those people that we spoke of back long ago when they were deciding whether they would stay on Earth or not, that everyone has their own unique experiences, and we absolutely respect those and their truths, and are very grateful for every soul that has shared their journeys today. So thank you, and thank you, Hippa. It's been incredible. How do people find you if they want to engage with your services?
Firstly, thank you for having me. It's been
It's
very
my pleasure.
enlightening, of course. So you can find me on YouTube or Instagram. Instagram is more of my art stuff. YouTube is more of like the directly spiritual stuff I do. Like I do soul language, meditations at times, and just sharing wisdoms there that I channel. So my YouTube is Earth Ascending 3, and so is my Instagram. Yeah, and that's probably the best places to find me.
Okay, fantastic. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming along, and I
Yeah,
wish you
of
all the best
course.
with your
Yes,
journey.
me
And
too.
it's amazing to see you in action. It's it puts us under a lot of pressure when we're sat there talking to each other, and
Hmm.
we're doing the human thing and the metaphysical thing, and
Yes.
it's a brave thing to do, but it's also fantastic practice, right? It gets us out and connecting and being both. Like we're being asked to be
Mhm.
both our physical and metaphysical aspects of us now and step into our
And
whole
I
magic.
And I love to see, how you channel kind of versus how I channel, like, the information connected, but I felt like, because 'cause we're 2 different frequencyed
Yeah.
individuals, so it was interesting to see that journey. It felt like we started seeing the same thing, and then we kinda came back around, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
what we're channeling kinda connected at the
Yeah.
end, which I really like, and is the coolest thing about channeling with people, to see how everything connects together. But yeah, thank you so much for
It's
having me. That was really awesome and very
no,
cool.
it's a pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much. Great.
Yes.
Well, it'd be lovely to have you on again. Maybe a live stream you'd be interested in coming along to, or another
Oh, yeah.
show. You're more than welcome. And yeah, please let us know in the comments what you experienced in today's session. And we look forward to seeing you again, Hippa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take
Alright,
care.
bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.